invite all of you for the HMA Leadership Conclave 2025. As if often asked, what is leadership? Well, it depends on who you ask. As practitioners and students of management, we often are asked, what makes a leader? That is a tough question, but we are hopeful that we will have answers by the time we disperse this evening. We have a galaxy of business leaders who will be speaking today. From management education to IT, to fintech, to spirituality, to healthcare, we have the entire bouquet of sectors for you to soak up the gyan. A few words about the host of today's conclave. The HMA began its tryst with destiny in 1964 and has completed 60 years of excellence, of stellar contribution to the field of management in the undelivered and undivided Andhra Pradesh and now the Telangana too. Beginning in a small way in 1964, HMA has traversed the highs and lows of the business sector in the country. Affiliated to the IMA headquartered in New Delhi, HMA has been able to leverage the strengths of IMA from a national perspective. I once again welcome one and all for this grand inaugural session. I request the honorable guests to please walk up to the dais to mark the lighting of the lamp, which will be an auspicious occasion for us to begin the event. Lighting of the lamp highlights the importance of knowledge, wisdom, and education. Light of a lamp is a tribute to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, free flow of wisdom and consciousness.
Shubham kurutvam kalyanam arogyam dhanasampadaha. Shubham kurutvam kalyanam आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धि विनाशाय दीपज्योते नमोस्तुते दीपज्योते नमोस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्परब्रह्म दीपज्योतिर्जनार्दनः दीपज्योतिर्परब्रह्म दीपज्योतिर्जनार्दनः दीपो हरतु मे पापं सन्ध्यादीपनमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरु त्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः 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 शत्रुबुद्धि विनाशाय दीपज्योते नमोस्तुते दीपज्योते नमोस्तुते दीपज्योते परब्रह्म दीपज्योते जनार्दनः.
Thank you very much. Our chief guest for today, Mr. G. Kishan Reddy, could not make it due to some other priorities. So we would like to start the event. Before that, I would like to speak a few words about the HMA Leadership Conclave. It is to inspire, innovate, and impact, bring together the change makers for an inspiring day of the transformative ideas and dynamic conversations. We will now be having welcome address by our most respected President, Mr. K. Chandrasekhar. He is a distinguished HR professional whose career spans over 30 years in automobile engineering and process industries across southern states. Mr. Chandrasekhar is a postgraduate in education and has dedicated his career to human resource management. He has worked in multiple industries, gaining vast experience in work, design, performance management, and leadership, vision, and deep understanding of HR dynamics. He has made a significant impact on the companies he has been associated with. I kindly request Sir to present the welcome address. I request the gathering to welcome with a big applause. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of HMA and on behalf of my team management committee, I extend warm welcome for the district respected past presidents, distinguished and eminent speakers, and my dear participants who are going to participate in this for the next few hours till 5 in the evening. It's an absolute honor to stand before you at the remarkable conclave center the theme Inspire, Innovate and Impact. That's the theme what we have chosen for this conclave. As she already mentioned, the Hyderabad HMA is 60 years old. We are celebrating the Golden Jubilee celebration this year. For the 60 years old organization, I happen to be the 68th president of HMA. It's just a coincidence, my age also could be close to 60 or 60 plus. I mean, I didn't want to take much dwell upon the conference. The conclave offers us a unique opportunity to gain valuable perspectives from an esteemed line of speakers. We are privileged to welcome speakers like Swami Vadanandamaya and B.V.R. Mohan Reddy Garu, S. Shivakumar Garu. I mean, there are host of speakers, Sangeeta Reddy Garu, and many more speakers will be coming. And one good thing part is, sir, let me mention, normally distinguished speakers come at their respective time. Today, our Shivakumar Garu, the session is going to be at 2 o'clock. He said, I'll come and join and watch the other speaker sessions, he said. That's a great. And Ganesh Natarajan, though his session is at 3 o'clock, he is coming and join us in a short while. And not to take much of our time, I request Madan Pilitla Garu to start the session. The reason being is Dr. B.V.M. Mohan Reddy Garu has an important session afterwards. Request Madan Pilitla Garu to address a member of the keynote address. May I request Madan Pilitla Garu.
Good morning, all. It's a pleasure for me to be here. It's an honor, and I won't take too much of your time because B.V.R. Mohan Reddy Garu is very insightful. He has a lot of wonderful things. We call him often to the Indian School of Business, and it's always a treat to listen to him. I can't today because I have to leave, but I'm going to leave him I'm going to leave him a lot more time. But let me just tell you what I want to talk about, okay? So I'll try to weave it into the theme itself, but it's something that I want to talk about. It's something I've been thinking about for the last about 6-7 months, and I'm working on a paper eventually that hopefully it will become a book. So when I was asked to talk, I asked, what is the topic? What do you want me to talk about? And they said, on leadership. I mean, leadership is such a broad topic. There are all kinds of things that you can talk on that particular issue. But let me pick the one that I wanted to tell you a few things about. And this is a topic that has a lot of resonance now in the world, and will start having a lot of resonance in India too. So when we think about leadership and when we think about leadership teams, when we think about the most innovative teams that are out there, we think that one of the key features of innovative teams is that they have diverse perspectives within the team. So you need to build a team with people who come from different backgrounds, people who have different ideas. Cognitive diversity is the way that people talk about it. But ever since the election in the United States that has resulted in in Mr. Donald Trump becoming the president and a whole host of people who came around him, there is a war that is going on there against something which is called diversity, equity, and inclusion. You know, there is a big war that is being fought out. And there's a lot that is being talked about in that domain, and a lot of it is exaggerated. So if you'll see, they had a plane crash at some point in time, and the immediate response of the president was that this is on account of faulty selection procedures that has resulted in a non-meritorious person being made a pilot. Okay, so that was his immediate kind of a response. And this is a response. I've been here in India. I was outside of India for many years, but this is also a response that I see on LinkedIn, and I see on when I meet even among my friends. When something bad happens, they point out and they say, "Oh, that was a reservation candidate." Okay, this is a statement that I've seen quite often. So that's the topic I just want to put out here and say a few words on that topic, because let's start with the obvious. Okay, so when we look at it, we'll start with the very obvious one. In periods of uncertainty, I mean, this is a history, I mean, this is a lesson that we get from biology, right? So when we think about it and we say, whenever there is tremendous uncertainty in the ecology, in the environment out there, what survives really is diversity. Okay, so when so in periods of volatility, it is not specialists who are completely adapted to an environment who will survive. It is generalists who have the ability to do different things. They tend to survive, and that's true at the individual level, that's true at the team level, it's true at an organizational level. You know, so any diversity is of tremendous value when there is uncertainty out there in the world. Okay, so that's one. That's a given. You can go and you can look at, there is a lot of research that is there on the topic. That's one. Innovation is based on diversity, you know, so that's something else also. There is some evidence in and around that. But what the reason for this backlash that you're seeing about diversity, equity, and inclusion right now is because there are too many claims, exaggerated claims that were made about the value of diversity itself. So I'm not going to go into that. I will acknowledge and I will put down that the research, the evidence is very nuanced about where it works, where it doesn't work, and so on. You know, so there is a lot of we need to pay attention to that research. We need to be looking at what is of value, what is not of value. You know, so I'll acknowledge that. I'll put that down and say that lack of that acknowledgement has led to people pointing out and saying diversity is not always of value. Okay, so that is the point that we'll take that into account. But now the pendulum is going to the other side completely, you know, and where they're saying that diversity of all kinds is bad, and any kind of recruitment on that basis is bad. So you as leaders, you as managers, here are a few things I just want to put down to you. There are two major reasons why we think about diversity, equity, and inclusion. One of them is there is a performance imperative. It leads to innovation, it leads to growth. That's there. But there's a second imperative that we should never ever forget, that the reason why we talk about DEI, we talk about that as leaders, we're thinking about it, is because of justice. We want to bring people into a system who've been historically disadvantaged, whether it is women, whether it is people of, like, you know, certain kind of castes in India that had been excluded. So there is a justice element to it. And the justice element does not get emphasized enough when we're talking about it. It doesn't get emphasized enough. So it's very important. And from my point of view, the way that I see it is that as long as the goal of justice is satisfied, and the trade-offs that we're talking about in terms of a performance decrement is not so much, then it is for us very clear the imperative is that we have to go in for and include people who have been marginalized. So that is the point that I just want to put down for you. In support of that, there are a few things I want to say. The first, you've all heard of the Pareto principle. You've all heard about, you know, so there is research that actually points out that there are only a small number of people who are at the extreme end of the performance kind of distribution who make a very positive impact on organizations. The vast majority of people, as long as they're doing their job well, organizations can thrive, but it's the extremes that drive performance. Okay, so there's research on this. You can go and you can look at it. it suggests that those, and they are also disproportionately rewarded, right? So those are the people, whether in sports, whether in any other domain, the people who are the extreme performers, who drive the performance of the entire team, the entire organization, they're limited. What that suggests to us is that for the vast majority of roles, for us to think about and say someone is in the 70th percentile, someone is in the 71st percentile, that's meaningless for us. You know, it really does not have a huge impact on the way that organizations perform. So it's there for you to think about and include people who are from marginalized communities is not a bad thing at all. It doesn't hurt the performance of the organization. That's point number one, which is to say that those fine-grained ways in which we draw out merit. And I, again, in the 3 years that I've been here, when I go and I talk to people, people talk about the rank that they got in the JEE, people talk about what they got in the 12th standard, the UPSC rank and so on. I think, you know, what we got 40 years ago, 70 years ago, I mean not 70, 40 years ago is not hugely relevant, you know, that's there. But also the fine-grained kind of like the differences that we're making does not have huge performance implications. This is point number one. I just want to make that note down for you. Point number two that I want to say is that there is a lot of noise in the way that we measure merit. Okay, so we look at so just because someone, and this is from someone, so please take it with a pinch of salt. I didn't go to an IIT, okay, so I just want to be clear. So I didn't go into an IIT, and not because I didn't want to go, I didn't make it into an IIT, okay. I also want to be clear about that. This is not, I'm not making any claims about my being, so take what I'm saying with a pinch of salt. But what I want to say is that, you know, what they do on that one given day at that point in time, that is not a marker of merit that you're going to carry on your forehead for the rest of your life, right? So there is noise there because there are people who could have gotten that rank that day and didn't, because for whatever reason, you know, that they didn't get that rank, but that should not be the determinant of what goes on forever. So you need to have a much more holistic way in which you measure whatever you call merit. So that's my second point, that there is a lot of noise in and around the way that you do that. And the third point that I want to put down for you is, and this is where over the years, that in various positions that I've looked at, is human beings have a tremendous capacity to learn. So you bring people in, you give them an opportunity, you know, so even if these are people that you think were not the people who are going to be cutting it. And again, I'm not saying and we, Mohan Reddy Garu and I were in an interview panel recently. There was one person who just stood out. I mean, it was crystal clear that person was outstanding. The others were all in some distribution, but one person stood out. I'm not talking about the extremes. I'm talking about the people who are there in the middle, you know, so that are there. For you to bring in some of those people, give them a chance, you know, train them and make them a little bit better, that I think is what you would be needing to do a lot about. So I'll stop here just to make this particular point, right? I just want to say this, you know, so and I'm a teacher, so I have this desire to summarize what I said in a few sentences. So I just want to say that there is a lot that is going on in the world about not trying to include people who have been historically disadvantaged. And I would like all of you to try to resist that, okay? So this is something I would like. As leaders, I think it is very important that you resist that. Part of the reason is because it leads to innovation. Part of that is there, but part of it is, it's very clearly, it is about the justice element. And what I want to say, that summary is that this is not detrimental to the performance of an organization. With that, I'll stop. I'm very confident that this is not what people were expecting me to say as part of my, in this leadership address, but I needed to get it out. This is something that I thought, I know it's something I deeply care about. I'm glad that I put it out here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you very much, sir, for your very valuable and kind advice. I would request Honorable Wing Commander Bharat Bhushan Garu to please felicitate Madan Pilutla. I request the coordinators to please escort Bharat Bhushan Garu to the dais. Madan Pilutla, Dean and Professor of Organizational Behavior at the Indian School of Business, a position he has held since July 2021. He holds an undergraduate degree in mechanical engineering from BITS Pilani and a postgraduate degree in personal management from XLRI. A big round of applause to the first speaker who has given us a lot of valuable insights to us. Looking forward for more enthusiasm from the participants, as every session is going to be on the leadership qualities. It's going to be to impact, innovate, and create something new learning for us. Thank you very much, sir. Sir? Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, good morning to all. All set for the, we have got the keynote address. Now we are going to move on to the sessions. I think, are you all excited? Hello, students, are you all excited? Yeah, big round of applause, okay. Now we are going to start the session. Before that, there is a small ground rules or the housekeeping rule. Normally we keep it. We know very well the best of the best speakers available in India are with us today. So I request all of you to keep your mobile phone in silent or switch off mode. Number one. Number two, there is a question session which is again going to become digitally. So you all might have got your registration delegate right kit. In the kit you can find the QR codes. The end of the session one towards, there will be, you can just open up that QR code get opened and you can just give your name and type your question. The first 5 questions will be answered by the speakers because of the time paucity. Otherwise, we will see that we will answer all the questions at the later stage. And again, repeating you, please keep your mobile phone in switch off or silent mode, as we got the best of the best speakers available today, and we are going to impart more knowledge, take more knowledge to the home. Are you all okay? I want a Josh. Are you all okay? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for putting so much of Josh in us. Next we have Dr. BVR Mohan Reddy, founder, chairman and board member, Science. Dr. BVR Reddy is a visionary who firmly placed India on the global engineering research and development services map by establishing Science, formerly Infotech Enterprise, in 1991. Science now is a global digital engineering and technology solutions company. Science collaborates with customers to design digital enterprises, build intelligent products and platforms, and solve sustainability challenges. Science is committed to design tomorrow together with our stakeholders and being a culturally inclusive, socially responsible, and environmentally sustainable organization. I request sir to please come onto the dais and enlighten our distinguished gathering with your valuable thoughts. Okay. So as sir has told you about the ground rules, in your kit you are having the scanner where you can post your questions, and the first 5 questions will be picked up based on the QR code, and at the end of the day, the scanner, if you scan, you will be getting a feedback form where it will be asking your name and email ID. Once you fill up that and submit, you will be getting your e-certificate on your mobiles. So let's look forward for a wonderful day ahead. This being a 5-chat section, we also have the speaker Rajesh Dudu, who shapes the thought, leadership and GTM approaches in Web 3.0 emerging tech at PwC, the world's largest professional services network. A big round of applause for both the speakers during the panel discussion. Earlier at Tech Mahindra, a USD 6.5 billion IT conglomerate, he established the global leader status for the company in blockchain, Web 3.0, metaverse, cybersecurity, and cognitive tech areas. He was also instrumental in making Mahindra Group of companies like Mahindra Life Spaces and Mahindra auto-refine customer experience and business models using spatial reality and immersive tech. Thank you. I hand over the session to both the speakers. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'm okay. Morning, everyone. It's good to see such august audience and the hall brimming to the full capacity. So, during the preparatory session, when I had an opportunity to exchange few thoughts with BVR Garu, in the end, BVR Garu told me, Rajesh, you may also have all the answers. I told him, yes, sir, I have all the answers. But what is more important is to have the right answers with the right wisdom. That is what is more important. And it's such a pleasure to have you today here, sir. So we're looking for those right answers with deep wisdom that you have. To kick it off, in terms of the first thing I wanted to check with you, BVR Garu, AI has been around for 50 years now, or more than 50 years. You know, if someone in the audience, does anyone in the audience know when was the first AI application that came into existence? Any takers? The first AI application came into existence in late 50s, early 60s. They used a computer called Mark Ferranti 1, which was used to play a game of checkers. And can you imagine what was the memory of, or the RAM that was used at that point of time? It is 0.28 MB. I repeat, it is 0.28 MB. Now look at where we are. So that is the significant advancement that has been made in the AI world. And we know that AI has been making rapid strides year on year. About 6-7 years ago, it shook the entire world when DeepMind of Google defeated the world's best Go player. Computer has defeated the world's best Go player. So all that has been happening. So the question to you, BVR Garu, is the tech has been around for several decades. When the tech has been around for several decades, why is there a special emphasis on it now?
Thank you, Rajesh, and good morning to all of you. Thank you, HMA, for inviting me for your annual event. I spoke about a couple of weeks back. Please do not believe that I'm a stock speaker for HMA, but the topic was so tempting that I thought I'll come and share a few thoughts of mine, and especially with a moderator like Mr. Rajesh Reddy. Rajesh, you asked this question saying that which was the first AI application. So can I pose a question back to you? Which was the first PhD in AI?
I didn't expect this is out of syllabus for me.
Thank you. So the first PhD in AI, it so happens it's by an Indian, Dr. Raj Reddy's PhD in Stanford University in 1961 on speech recognition was the first PhD in AI. But it's by a strange coincidence that I happen to know Raj well, and I was associated with him for as many as 10 years. We ran a business together from 1982 to 1992. And this was around 1985, 1986, which we're talking about somewhere in the range of about 36, 38 years back. Those were the days when, you went on a sales call, you did not have a mobile phone, you did not send them a text message that you're going to be there, all that was not there. So long rides, it was actually, I still recall, the sales call was an IIT Mumbai director. So we were talking about it, and you have this long ride, so you get to talk to people. So Raj was saying that, Mohan, to have an autonomous car, we have all the technologies ready. This was, I'm talking about 1985. And he said, look, we have done A, B, C, D, all that are ready at this point of time. So very dumbly, I asked him this question, saying that, Anna, then what is stopping us from making this happen? And the answer was that we will require a 15-ton truck to follow us, carrying all the equipment to make sure that this car becomes an autonomous car. So that was the type of equipment that's required. Fast forward this 30 plus years that we're talking about, what has happened is that 15 tons has got reduced to as much as a kg or a 1.5 kgs. That is the transformation that you've seen. So the key driver, Rajesh, is the transformation in terms of technology that we're seeing. And today, this transformation has led into enormous amount of convergence of technologies. I'll articulate in a minute. And this has become the big pivot for us to use AI. So what are the technologies which we feel are converging at this point of time? The first is computing power. These were the days when Rajesh talked about the first AI application, the first computer that they were using. He said 280, it won't be 280, it must be 256. So it has to be multiples of the 64 kb, 128 kb, 256 kb, 512 kb, I can go on, 1024 and so on and so forth. So therefore, if you look at the computing capability at this point, from there to now is like day and night. And what is it? It used to be CPU power measured by cycles. Then you said, you know, you could probably have GPUs and CPUs together. Then they became TPUs, transaction processing units. And what are we right now? We are in an age of what is called as the quantum computing. Quantum will not do one transaction at a time, but what you will see is a matrix of transactions being done simultaneously. That way, millions of transactions will happen just momentarily. That's what will happen. The second one is that we've also seen a tremendous amount of progress in storage. What was the storage used to be an 80 kilobyte floppy, and then it became a 256 kilobyte floppy. We were talking, oh no, I have the best of disk drives, 2 megabytes. Now it's teraflops. Forget about teraflops. They're all now on the cloud. I don't even know how much amount of storage I'm using at this point of time. Or then you come down and say, it is number of sensors that have come by. Sensors which are in a position to sense every movement that you're seeing around. God gave us those 5 sensors. Those 5 sensors are repeatable right now with the computers too. And much more accurately. We'll come to that in a moment. So therefore, and these sensors, which are being so intense, so extensive, become cheaper, they become faster, and they're becoming smaller. They're tiny and tiny. And they're putting out oceans of data. And the oceans of data is on which data is actually the feeding ground for AI. AI thrives on data. It's data which makes the difference to AI. Actually, we will talk about applications as we move forward. One of the constraints that we see is the data. Or the Western world is saying, in about 5 to 6 years from now, they will run out of all the data, that they can't make much progress with AI. So it is a convergence of the 4 things I keep talking about: computers, storage, etc., communication, sensors, and then the algorithms. The algorithms have also become very sophisticated to what they were in the past. The way in which people are writing algorithms, which are in a position to do several more than what it was. So we keep calling them, as a result of it, you can see applications in every sphere of life. So the technology, the hardware part of it is accelerating AI. The software part of it is amplifying AI. It's a combination of acceleration and amplification, which doesn't happen in many situations. But here is what is further, is things are going to be much, much different. Not only I will say it's come to stay, but it is also going to overtake many things that we could not imagine so far. I'll give you a quick example. Rajesh talked about an application, but truly an application that was attempted by human beings was an application to do handwriting recognition.
Right.
And speech recognition. These were about 1996, 1997. That's when people started them off. And that is when actually they said the computer efficiency compared to the human efficiency was 0%. They could do nothing absolutely. Then it took almost about 26 years thereafter for the computers to become 100% as efficient as human beings. You say it just come to 100% efficiency. But then now look at one other application I'll give you, ChatGPT. That today, which is comprehension, contextualizing, instantaneous answering from large language models, that took 18 months. And what is the efficiency of that? Is 100%. And what we are seeing further, one more interesting one I wanted to share, the last data point, is that there are areas where actually the computers are more efficient than human beings. Example, vision. You look at the doctor at this point of time looks at the X-ray to check whether there are any lesions on the lung. You go through a normal process. And there's evidence at this point of time that the computers can recognize a lesion in the lung ahead of the doctor by 18 months. So therefore, people have calculated that backwards to say computers have 130% of human efficiency.
Right.
So therefore, it's come to stay. It's going to progress further.
Right.
I mean, amazing things will happen in years to come.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for sharing, in such a lucid manner in terms of how the field of AI has developed over a period of time by leveraging compute power, by leveraging capability of sensors, and getting, first it was behind the humans in terms of efficiency. It came on the par, and I think we are at a cusp where it is going to exceed the humans in terms of efficiency. And you also gave an example from the medical world where AI is able to diagnose a disease much faster than a human being is able to. And in essence, it is making the doctors very, very effective. Earlier, I spoke to you about first application of AI in humanity. When it comes to business, it was Digital Equipment Corporation, which used AI to sort purchase orders that they were receiving. They used to get a lot of purchase orders. Each purchase order had a different configuration of computer, and they found that their staff is taking a lot of time to assemble that particular purchase order and fulfill the purchase order. So they demonstrated to the world that could possibly the first onset of automation, BVR Garu. And it also gives us a very good segue to the next aspect of this discussion, as the topic is inspiring leadership in the AI era. We spoke about how computers disrupted the compute power, how they have accelerated the automation. Now coming to the field of leadership, how is it going to disrupt the field of leadership? And in terms of more so, we were taught in our classes that leadership has two components, the softer aspects and the harder aspects. So it will be good to hear from your experience how it is going to disrupt leadership, both from softer and harder aspects.
Thank you, Rajesh. Just continuing on the first part, what I'll conclude by saying is AI is transforming.
You may have to, I think it's fallen off. Yeah, you can keep it little.
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, can you hear me now? Yeah. Thank you. Sorry. So just continuing on what we talked about as the first part, was it AI has come to stay? AI is transforming business, industry, work, and the society. So obviously, the second one that you came by is it is certainly transforming leadership too. Right. So therefore, to the question saying that, look, what's the impact of AI in leadership? It certainly will redefine leadership roles. It is not going to be replacing leadership at all. That I can assure you. So before I go to the softer and the harder aspects of life, let's look at what is the role of leader at this point of time in businesses. I'm sure HMA, Management Association, people are all from business and industry. Let me take that. So the three major things that come to my mind is how work is going to change, how workplace is going to change, and how the worker is going to change. Because of AI today, the work is transforming itself. Rajesh used this word automation a couple of times. The low-end jobs which can be automated have started disappearing. They're not there any longer. It's the higher jobs which will continue to be there. So the work content that we all see today is far different from what it is in the past. And that transformation has been age-old. It has been going on for ages. I was, by a strange coincidence, I spent last weekend in IIT ISM Dhanbad. I went for an event. They're celebrating their 100 years. And if you look at their traditional 100-year-old building, what came to my mind is, I don't know how many of you know about this role called Panka Puller. Some people know about this, right? Courts used to be there. Any officer in the British Raj, even post-British Raj. In my childhood days, I saw even doctors having Panka pillars outside their house. Basically, it was a replacement for fan. Something used to go on. So how do you do that? You still use mechanical pulleys, and then there's a thread, there's a rope that goes around it. And this guy used to go to sleep. It goes in one direction. Wakes up, it goes in the second direction. What happened to him? The fans have come. So work will change. Work will continuously change. Whether it's a panka puller or a buggy driver or the horse-drawn carriages. We've seen all those transformations that have happened for sure. The second one is you should also be extremely careful and conscious of one thing. The worker is changing. The worker today is absolutely socially conscious. How many of you had 10 friends? I don't have in your school days. 10, 20 friends, you might still be up. 30 friends, somebody might rub their hand. If I say you have 1,000 friends, 10,000 followers, million followers, you don't. But when you have millions of followers, which means you're interacting with them, right? He is reading your material, not 100% of them, some percentage of it. So therefore, the worker at this point of time is a very socially connected worker. And he is also a socially very distracted worker. Constantly, look at me. I looked at my cell phone twice. Are there messages for me right now? I'm distracted. And so is the worker. It's very natural. Maybe there's something urgent, therefore I'm looking at whether that message has come in or not. So the worker is going to be different from what it was in the past. And the third one, it's the workplace that's going to be different. Even if you look at a factory, you don't require your workforce to be sitting in the factory. You have enough of your sensors which are placed, and you're sitting in a control tower which shows you how the performance is. Or if there's a small little leak of steam in one corner, sensor detects it. It also tells you which is the machine, which is the spare parts required, which is the crew that's required, and when can I schedule the crew to go and fix that particular leak. All that is being done by AI. So therefore, the workplace has also changed. Workplace for me too has also become extremely hybridized. People work from home. They're working from remote corners of the world. So the result is the challenges for leadership are going to be far, far different from what it was in the past. The leadership role is going to be different. So let's look at what Rajesh talked about, the harder aspects of it and the softer aspects of it. If you look at the harder aspects of it, as leaders, what do? We take decisions, right? Can the computers take decisions? They can help you take decisions. And they can make you take the decisions faster because they are in a position to actually access data, assimilate data, comprehend it, and present it to you. Present it to you in a format that it is absolutely understandable by you much faster. So therefore, the role of a leader is going to be different. And you will see a number of jobs that are there with you as a leader are automated. I have this very classic example of my speech making sessions. What was I doing? I used to call my EA, a young lady called Bhanu, and we used to have a session with her saying that, look, I got this request. I'm going to go for this event at HMA. inspire, impact, and need to get the third word. Innovate, yeah. Innovate, inspire, and impact. And so, we'll brainstorm for a little while before we came out saying that, there are 5 topics that you can talk about. Or this is a fireside chat, all right, but in the normal course.
Right.
And then what would you do? You say, I'm getting down to one of them. And then roughly, I would have a conversation with her. This is the contours of my speech. 5 bullet points, 8 bullet points, or whatever it is. She would disappear for the next 2 days, saying that I'm writing the speech for Mr. Reddy. So she comes back with the speech 2 days later. And then you start saying, I like this, I don't like this, and by which time I change my mind too. I'm also thinking I'm not dumb, I'm just not, say, idling myself. So I'd say, add this stuff to it. So the end result is, again, another 1 day of disappearance. And now, the same thing, sit in front of ChatGPT. Do the same process. Trust me, I can do it in just half an hour. And I don't need Bhanureka. So the point is, Bhanureka is still efficient. She's doing much better jobs at this point of time in her life. So the second one is automation will do a lot of difference. And the third one is the requirement from you, not only that is you need to be agile, you need to be fast. Those are the harder aspects of it. These softer aspects of it, which cannot be replaced by the computers for sure, is your ability to have empathy towards others, your ability to become creative, your ability to take a decision which is based on multi-dimensional. You can't feed all those multi-dimensional systems into the computer. So the sum total of the story that I have is that the role of leader will be redefined, is not replaced.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing such insights, especially the way you triangulated the worker, the workplace, and the work is very, very insightful. In a similar conversation when I was having with the younger people, especially from some of the brighter management institutes, they posed a question to me, which I will repost to you.
Sure.
They said, sir, generally in the class we have a very good debate about this topic, whether leaders are made or leaders are born. Taking a cue from it, I would like to ask you, will the leader make the AI or AI will make the leader?
Good question, Rajesh, but I think the answer is fairly simple. AI will not make leaders. Leaders make the AI, and leaders will redefine the AI.
Okay.
That's what will happen. So we are going to use AI in terms of redefining the role of a leadership, but not AI can become the leader for us. And we've seen areas where AI cannot replace a leader. For instance, you take a call on judgment.
Right.
We still are not in a position to get AI algorithms taking the cue to take judgment into it.
Right.
And they're not they can't take into account the emotions, the
Correct.
empathy.
Correct.
These are some of the traits which are very unique with human beings. We don't know people, futurologists are telling us that it can happen in years to come. Certainly, I don't think it's in my generation, possibly your generation, Rajesh. But I think one thing I know for sure, Rajesh, tomorrow is going to be different from today.
Absolutely.
Okay? How different it is, I'm not the person, I can't tell you how different it is. So only what will make a difference to us is our ability to adapt ourselves. We know that world is uncertain, it will change tomorrow. That take it for granted. In the changed environment, if you have to be successful, the only way out is you need to become adaptable. That will be the key to do it. So therefore, leadership will not be overtaken by the AI, but AI will redefine leadership.
That's a wonderful way of putting it, and it also gives a lot of hope to all the management people sitting in the audience that their jobs and their relevance is not going to be disrupted. And when you spoke about the capability to judge and the presence of mind, I was reading an article in the paper about 2 weeks ago. 4 youngsters They did not know how to get back from UP to Hyderabad, so they put the Google map, and Google map took them on a half-constructed bridge. The car fell down, and all the 4 people lost their lives. So that could be, it was playing in my mind in terms of what disastrous consequences this technology can lead to if you don't have the judgment capability and the presence of mind. You spoke about the wonderful incident of using Banu for your speech writing. I think it's also going to trigger one more area. All of us know the power of 360-degree survey, right? And if you want to get back to someone, 360 was a good way to getting back to someone in the organizational context. I think going forward, AI is going to take over that, and you may not need the 360-degree survey, and the leadership style can be practiced with the help of AI in addition to practicing the speech. Now, sir, switching the gears, we spoke about individual effectiveness, we spoke about the impact of AI. Leadership is not only at the individual level, it is also at the national level. So in terms of, if we look at we as a nation, what should we be doing to sustain that particular leadership? And I say this in the context of a few accomplishments of the country. My intent is not to undermine anything. We have done excellent in terms of space exploration, landing rover on the south pole of the moon. Nobody has done that. Now, if you juxtapose that with some of the things like, do we have a supercomputer? Is the supercomputer in the top 500 in the world? The answer is no. Do we have access to the quantum computer? The access is no. Do we have access to the foundational model? The access is no. So there are a lot of opportunities for improvement at the sovereign level. So what is your take? We should be doing as Indians and collectively as a nation to advance our competitive advantage in the AI world?
Good question, Rajesh, and I think you had many answers in the question itself. Thank you very much for that. I think one thing this nation has to do, and you complimented the nation, I'm completely aligned with you that there are several initiatives which are extremely turning out to be very positive too. Fully aligned with you. But here is the challenge we have. Many nations around the world today have a roadmap for AI. It's become so critical for the mankind, for the societies, that nations are saying we need to focus on. Not that I'm a great admirer of the current president of the United States, and I think we've heard Professor Madan talking about issues of diversity and inclusion, but he did one thing right. The day he was sworn in as president, he said between SoftBank and Sam Altman, they'll put up $500 billion for research. Therefore, the importance is there. The point I like to make is we need to have a national policy for AI. And here is what bothers me a little further, is that I'm sure you know how tiny that country is called UAE.
Yeah.
Right? In terms of whether it's physical geography or in terms of population. But you wouldn't believe me, but I'll tell you, they have a minister for AI. And they have a minister for AI not from yesterday, not from day before yesterday, from 2016. And they have a very clearly laid out game plan. Okay. That is what I anticipate we should do. What's the game plan that we need to have? The first one is that the bottommost here, where I think the emphasis has to become a lot more intense, if you truly want to become an AI nation, is the 4 building blocks I personally see is first is that you need to have competent, knowledgeable workforce. People.
Right.
So where does it start? It starts from the schools at this point of time to teach them what AI is. So in our ability to get skilled workforce is the first and the foremost one, not necessarily I'll tell you all the 4 blocks. The second block, which is equally important, is we need to have great amount of R&D to happen. R&D will come only when you start challenging the status quo, when you start critically thinking about how things are done, how things can be done, better done. That's when you see innovation coming out. R&D will lead to innovation, innovation will lead to newer ways of doing things. So the second thing the second building block is our emphasis on R&D has to go up. Okay?
Right.
The third one is, I talked about a little while earlier, is that we need to, for AI, the fuel is data. An enormous amount of data is required.
Absolutely.
And don't think we are making enough attempt to collect the data. Or even if we collect the data, we're not collecting, for instance, we had a debate day before yesterday on EMR, electronic medical records. With all due respect for many hospitals around here, there are very few which have good EMR systems. And somebody called out one of the hospitals. But the fact is that, if we in a nation like India, we have to collect the data. And please do not mistake, oh no, AI is working in the United States. Will it not work in India? No, our demographics are different. If you take healthcare, we keep saying the urban data may not be useful for rural India. The rural India data is different from.
Absolutely.
So this is all based on the data
Absolutely.
that you have. So data will also lead us into interchangeability. But the fourth building block, which is equally important, is the privacy part of it. That is going to be a disastrous consequences it will have. We today are throwing away the data as you like. There's nothing called privacy. I get amazed as to how my number is available to a number of people whom I don't like them to ever think about knowing me.
Okay.
Right? So therefore, and then I get calls. We now have a security protocol and so on and so forth that stops it. So therefore, I think the first four building blocks, I believe, for a nation to become AI nation, what we should do is skills, R&D, data, and privacy. The next building block we have also seen happening around the world is that we need to get use cases first. And here the example is that the use cases won't happen in private sector. It won't happen in corporate. They were hesitant and reluctant. The people who have the vision, who have the money, is the government. Government has to deploy AI extensively.
Absolutely.
And those use cases are the ones which will make a lot of difference in terms of rest of the people joining the bandwagon. So there are several more building blocks that are there, but I think at least there's 5 of them if we do, I think we'll start gaining momentum.
Absolutely. And to your point on privacy, I'm reminded whenever I return back from foreign travel, when I switch on the phone, when the aircraft has landed, the first call is not from the family, but from the spammer.
Correct.
The spammer knows
Exactly.
that I have landed
You're right.
much better than the family. And in terms of, while you were explaining, I was correlating to some of the initiatives that the Honorable Finance Minister has announced in the recent budget. From that, it looks like we have taken good steps, but from your explanation and your thought sharing, it appears that we have taken only the baby steps. You did mention about $500 billion vis-a-vis 500 crores for AI in budget. It's a very good beginning, no doubt, but there is a lot more to do. That's why I think we are seeing DeepSeek coming from China and not from India. So to continue on that train of thought, what else we should do so that the world doesn't see only DeepSeek, but the world sees Deep Create and Deep Compete from India?
No, I think continuing on what we just now talked about, the building blocks, one of them that was important I missed out, is also creating an infrastructure.
Absolutely.
That is extremely important. People do not realize when you're using, say, ChatGPT at this point of time, you pose a question, it goes into that circular ... stuff, and then it makes about 10 seconds or 15 seconds, then it comes back with an answer. But what you don't realize is the amount of computing power it is using at that point of time, amount of bandwidth that it is using at that point of time. All that today is available because I think still users are low. But I think there's a good news. Actually, I have to share with this audience today. I saw a chart in the recent past on use of ChatGPT by various stakeholders in various states of this country. And Telangana gets 100 out of 100. Extensive use, which is very good. It is even ahead of states like Karnataka, Maharashtra, which are at about 80, 83, somewhere around that. So our usage is very high. So therefore, what we need to do if we really want to create the new DeepSeek, which is the new Deep Create, is infrastructure becomes extremely important. The second one is our innovation has to happen. We cannot follow somebody. We have to be a leader.
Absolutely.
Look at what happened with even DeepSeek. It certainly broke the rules of the game as far as the ChatGPT is concerned.
Right.
They said there was no need for large language models.
Correct.
So it may be time for us to think about other ways in which we can do it cheaper. We can make it more accessible to the data that we have. The good news is, I think the other day, Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav, Honorable Minister for Methi, was having a press conference. He said there are 8 of those very deep technology-centric AI, generative AI startups that he sees in the horizon, and they probably will take somewhere between 6 months to 7 months before the first product gets released.
Correct.
I think initiatives are happening of that nature, Rajesh.
Yeah.
And I think I'd like to congratulate HMA and you getting the best out of me, all right, but HMA for having this particular meeting to create the level of awareness. I'm sure I'm not here to scare you off. I'm here to tell you the truth. This is a pragmatic situation that's on the ground at this point of time. And if the levels of awareness will grow in this country, I think we will definitely be there. And I was mentioning about another event I was there day before yesterday, AI in healthcare. I was extremely delighted. It was very gratifying to see medical doctors talking about how AI can be used in this country.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely, sir. I think you also bring out a clarion point from a ecosystem perspective. When DeMon happened, our Honorable Prime Minister said, each one teach one from a financial literacy perspective. Maybe there's a need for each one teach one from an AI perspective also.
Yes.
And to your point.
Good point.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point on the data availability, in my previous company, when we attempted Project Indus, as a response to Sam Altman's challenge, when he said that nobody else other than ChatGPT or OpenAI can develop this. And when we wanted to build this foundational model, which is called as Project Indus, at that point of time for Hindi, all that data was not even 100 GB of the data which was available in the public domain. And we had to get onto an initiative which is called as Bhasha Dan. So we told people saying that, take your phone and start speaking about it, at least contribute that particular data. I'm talking about Hindi, and if you want to build a regional leadership, then think about languages like Dakni. The
data would be
very limited. Then I had to call up my good friend Amir Ali Khan, who is also the MLC of the state and is a good friend of mine. He's from the family of the Siyasat Daily. Then Amir had to step in, and then he had contributed to a lot of data. So a lot of interventions that are required. So now is the time for you guys to get your moment to ask a question. We will open the floor for questions. So when you are asking a question, please refrain from making statements. Please ask a question, direct question, and sir will be happy to answer those. Over to you. Anyone? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. It will come on the screen, is it? Good demo of the technology.
Just session 1 QR code, and you can type your name and type the question, so that comes to the speaker over there in the screen.
So since it's a fireside chat, while you're getting your questions out, since it's a fireside chat, there cannot be a session without rapid fire. Right? So now is the time to increase the fire quantity and keep it to the rapid fire. I did take his permission to have these questions, but he did not have access to those questions. So we'll start the rapid fire, BVR Garu. What is your choice, human ingenuity or AI intelligence?
AI is just a tool, Rajesh. So ingenuity has to come from the human being.
Right.
And it is the human being who makes the tool. It's the human being who knows purpose of life.
Exactly.
AI does not understand what the purpose of life is. So therefore, it's the human ingenuity which is above all
Wonderful.
as far as life is concerned.
Wonderful. From this answer, I can say that AI will not overtake me in my generation. It will not overtake people in the next 3 or 4 generations. Something which is common in the mind of the people or mind of students or the job seekers. What will AI lead to? Job losses or reskilling?
So we have seen this happening all around. Whenever technology came in, there were job losses did happen.
Right.
But the job losses did not mean that, they were gone forever. These people, what would they do? Reskill themselves.
Yeah, the panka puller that you told.
The panka puller is one aspect of it.
Right.
The other very famous story of mine is that I have a picture, I'm sure you can Google around, it's there on the internet too, 1905 on New York 5th Avenue.
Right.
You take a picture from a vantage point.
Correct.
And you find the whole of the street is full of horse-drawn buggies.
Right.
With just about 2 cars. About 10 or 12 years later, from the same vantage point, people take a picture. The street is full of cars, except for a few horse-drawn buggies. So it doesn't mean that, we killed all the horses or the horsemen starved to death. Horsemen got reskilling done. So therefore, the answer is reskilling.
Reskilling is important. Moving on in terms of whether it is smart use of AI or making AI, which is more important?
I think, making AI is not a difficult thing at all. Yeah,
Not a
government does
difficult
it,
thing
not
at
a
all.
difficult all. They'll write more applications, more and more applications will come by. But I think making use of it.
Making use of it.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. When will India attain AI hardware dominance? I'm of the opinion that we had software boom but hardware doom. And so when will AI attain hardware dominance? 2030, 2040?
Very optimistically, the number is 2040.
2040.
So 2030 is definitely not in my horizon.
So don't put your money on the hardware stocks at this point.
Right now, but then, semiconductor will do well. They'll start moving in that direction. But I think we need to put a lot of effort on the hardware front to be where we are.
Yeah.
And that also makes me a little nervous at this point of time because our very friendly President of the United States now seems to be thinking about rationing GPUs to different countries. He has talked about it too at length.
Absolutely.
So when you have a GPU scarcity and countries do not produce GPUs, it will be a major challenge. So I think it's very important for this nation to build the hardware capabilities as soon as possible. But nothing happens overnight, and especially looking at this leading edge technology.
Right.
Possibly it will be
Takes
2040.
time. Takes time. The final one, what will AI lead to, innovation or resilience?
No, it certainly will lead to more amount of innovation.
Innovation.
Certainly what we are seeing is that the trends that are there shows us that there will be enormous amount of innovation that will happen.
Right.
And therefore, the innovation has to start not necessarily from the college students or from the workplaces.
Right.
We are saying start them from the school, catch the child young, and start allowing them to think about the status quo, challenge the status quo, take risks in life, be persistent. That's when innovation will come out.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much. And we can go on and on. I don't see any audience looking at their phones and they are keenly listening to you, intently listening to you. I know I have the question, so I just wanted, because he did tell me that he has to get to a wedding, so I want to check with you in terms of how much more liberty we have to encroach into your time so that I can take as many questions as possible.
5 more minutes?
5 more
Or
minutes.
10 minutes.
Okay, so fastest finger first, going by what Amitabh Bachchan taught us. So I'll take the first one. What leadership principles have guided your journey as an entrepreneur?
Walk the talk. As simple as that. I walk whatever I said in my life, and I will do that forever.
Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. What are the challenges to be faced by leaders in AI? How it influences to the students?
Well,
I think you covered some of it.
Yeah, we can skip that.
We can skip that. AI is expected to destroy humans if used beyond a certain limit. So what is the solution?
No, I'm not too sure. So long as we do have ethical AI, unethically people are going to do some things.
Right.
It might, in cybersecurity, they can destroy your financial accounts and so on and so forth. There are concerns, no denying it all. Especially we're very concerned about the new quantum computing that will come by. If the quantum computing goes into the wrong hands, we have a fairly major concern saying that, they can destroy certain things.
Right.
But otherwise, in general, no, you don't need to worry about it at all.
You've been a doyen in this field, mechanical engineering, production design area. So there's a question, how AI changes mechanical engineering and production and design area?
Enormous amount of change that technology is bringing us at this point of time. I don't know how many of you are mechanical engineers or civil engineers, or how many of you have used T-square and set squares in engineering? Put your hands up. You know what is T-squares and set squares. Next question, what is French curve?
There's one hand which
Yeah,
is
tell me
gone.
what's French curve.
The lady over there, somebody raised the hand and now
Yeah, tell me.
they
Tell me,
raised
tell
the hand down.
Please yell out from there. What's French curve? No? So if you look at the set squares, in that there are holes, and those holes are actually got nice curves on them. Those curves are called French curves. There's a name for it. And why are those curves that are there? Is for you to, there also are, like, set square or T-square is an aid for you to do the drawing. The French curves are also aid for you to put the curvatures. But we never use them. The reason for that is thereafter, if you use the French curves and made products, it is so difficult to manufacture them. The output of the manufacturing process used to be very, very poor. And therefore, but whereas now look at the technology that has come by.
Right.
I can do any French curve using 3D printer and with no cost. At lower cost than what you take material out of a billet, that becomes a product for you, right? A component for you.
Okay.
Whereas now what am I doing? I'm taking sintered prod or metallurgy and put wherever it is required. I can have intricate holes that are going through. Cooling for aerofins has become easier for us. So there'll be enormous amount of change in terms of product design.
Wonderful. Somebody from the legal fraternity, they want to understand, can AI be used to deliver speedy justice?
Yes, answer is yes. But will we use it? I don't think so. We want to postpone all our cases week after week. There are people, I believe, who have been bailed for 14 years now on a multi-million-dollar scam that goes on. Nowhere else in the world it can happen, but it happened here.
Absolutely. I want speedy consideration from the spouse, but it'll never happen. So what is the percentage of job losses if the government and IT companies do not train the people in our country aggressively?
Now, I don't think that's of a major concern at this point of time. The supply-demand situation will take care of it. There's enormous amount of pressure on people to get reskilled. The good news is they are getting reskilled at this point of time. But what will happen is that for a little while, wherever we have seen these technologies coming in, we talked about automobile at one point of time, or several more technologies, there'll be certain aberration in terms of higher job losses than job creation. What we are seeing for last year and this year too, it will happen is the net new job creation will be zero. There'll be gross jobs at the bottom of the pyramid, will add, but there'll be some lateral losses that will also happen. But maybe you give us one more year, 26 will be a difficult year too. 27 onwards, you'll see the AI will catch up and create more amount of jobs. You'll see more amount of startups now scaling. At that point of time, you'll see more job creation.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you
On a
so much.
positive note, let's close it. Thank you very much, HMA.
Can we give a standing ovation
Thank you,
to sir?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for such a wonderful question
Thank
answer
you.
session and
Thank
so
you.
enthusiastic participants. Let's have a very big round of applause because
Thank
we're
you.
going to have a tea break after this.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, I would request
Thank you very
Shyam
much.
Mohan
Thank you.
Garu to
You
please
got the best out of
felicitate
it.
our guests.
Thank you.
Sir, just a moment, we would like to felicitate you. Shyam Mohan Garu and Mr. Ramesh Vemuganti Garu to please felicitate Rajesh Dudu and Dr. BVR Mohan Reddy. I request you to please come to the dais. The session was very good, the fireside AI chat, where sir has very nicely told about how the AI can only have the ability to be not to be empathetic to others and ability to be creative. We are all talking about AI era, but still we are facing lot of challenges in the cyber security also. So that's how the things go. It was very wonderful, sir. Thank you so much. And I thank the audience for posing such wonderful questions. Thank you so much. Yeah, we are live on YouTube. The link is shared. It is shared already. Very good highlights that sir has spoken about, like how leaders will define AI, not AI will redefine the leader. He also spoke about how quantum computing has to be handled. And we also came to know about the role of a leader is just not very simple. It's going to be more tough in the AI era. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. We will be having a coffee break now, and I hope that we all will be assembled back again for a very wonderful spiritual session immediately after the coffee break. Please get back. I request all the volunteers to please take their seats. I request all the delegates, the participants, to please come back to the hall so that we can start the session as our next speaker is ready. It's been a wonderful beginning since morning. It was very nice to have very decent audience, but we also require audience with some josh. The questions were very good, but during the tea break, I came to know with few of them who are sitting this side that the scanner is not responding. So it may be because of the internet, or else otherwise we had 9 questions which were scanned. If you are facing any such problem in internet connectivity, you can please move this side or just change your mobile's placing for some time so that you can scan the questions for the next session. As you all assemble, let me once again brief about the HMA. A few words about the host of today's conclave. The HMA began its tryst with destiny in 1964 and has completed 60 years of stellar contribution to the field of management in the undivided Andhra Pradesh and now Telangana too. We had wonderful sessions in the morning. We had a fireside chat with inspiring leadership in the AI era. We will now have a spiritual session. I hope all the guests are back. All the delegates are here. The student volunteers, I request once again to please take back your seats. We can move ahead to the next program. We have amongst us Swami Bodhamayananda, Adhyaksha, Ramakrishna Mutt, Hyderabad. I hope all are back. Looking forward to start the session. Can I have a response from you all? Shall we start the session? A little more. Because now from now onwards we have to remove that dullness and boredom and we have to become more active. Because we can't keep sitting just and listening, right? So inspired by the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda during his school days, Swami Bodhayananda joined the Ramakrishna order in Bangalore in 1984. He was initiated into monastic vows in 1993. After initial training, he served the mission in Hyderabad, Visakhapatnam and Chennai between 1989 and 2010 and was involved in various youth activities during that period. Swami Bodhayananda has so far conducted about 1050 workshops, seminars and training sessions covering about 7 lakh students, teachers, managers and others on human excellence, self-management, leadership skills and Vedanta. In schools, professional colleges and many corporate in almost every state. Many corporate in almost every state in the country since 2 decades. He also interacted with several scientists at Abdul Kalam Research Center and DRDO in Hyderabad, ISRO in Bangalore, advocates of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana High Courts in Hyderabad. And now I request Sir to please address the distinguished gathering and take us into the spiritual world of his words. Please welcome Sir with a very big round of applause. Thank you, Rajshekar Sir, for escorting. Thank you so much.
Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya Om Shanti 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 Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Om Namaskars and greetings to all the members of HMA, to all the known friends and unknown friends, the wonderful gathering of professionals and leaders from various walks of life. And I am the odd man out here. But my strength is I'm not an individual, I come from an organization. So I think I'm not an odd man out from that point of view. And the Ramakrishna Mutt and the Ramakrishna Mission is not yesterday or day before, it is 128 years old organization. Started by a monk without bank balance, with only pride in his heart and service to the nation, suffering humanity. His experience of the West at that time, pre-independence days, 1890s, when America was just 400-year-old kid, it had the audacity and the confidence to invite the whole world to see its growth and pride and power. We had already put the stamp that we are the greatest and the most powerful in the world, 1890s, when Columbus discovered America by mistake. It was an accident. Columbus wanted to discover India. But some people, ignorant people, they said, this is India. Indians are here. To his shock, they found only red Indians were there. And he lost the focus, lost the track, and wasted all his expenditure there. That's why they say Columbus discovered America by accident. But Vivekananda went by incident and discovered the soul of America and gave them back their lost identity. A nation just 400-year-old, inviting the whole world for a world science exposition in Chicago. And in one of that units of activities was the World Parliament of Religions. And that was the time Ferris wheel was introduced in America as a demo. Then the gramophone was introduced in America by Edison. But this unknown monk, without credentials, from a slave country, shatters the very ego of the West. Without the war, without arguments, without anything, by just his spiritual power. The fragrance and the power that he generated. People talk only about that famous lecture in Chicago, September 11th, 1893. It started with Sisters and Brothers of America. That was enough to show what spirituality can do to the world. It was not just metaphors. It was not just English words. People don't understand the background behind it. It's not a platform lecture. It was a deep-rooted growth from childhood till the age of 30 when he launched his work in America. For the benefit of all of you, because we are Bharatiyas, we have a tradition, we have a samskar, we have our grandmothers, we have our grandfathers, we have our pujas, we have our meditations, the yogas. So it's easy for you to understand. You are grown-up people, parents, responsible, personal, social, national, contributing to the economy of the country. Just those 5 words, 7,000 people, the best of the best, listening to him. They were not just picked up from somewhere and like a political party to cheer for any statement that a leader makes. No. And Vivekananda could not enter into the parliament because he did not have a letter of introduction or an ID card or today's biodatas and things. He didn't know. And at the same time, so costly at the time, Chicago. And these people from Madras, today Chennai, overconfidence, over-enthusiasm, highly inspired by Swamiji, just packed him up with $170 and 4 dresses to America. And he had to travel 2 months by ship. But then, Swargadwaram apavrutam, when you have a higher destiny, higher purpose, higher goals, heavens will look small. That is what happened in the ship. Some of you who have read Vivekananda's life will understand the turning point in Indian Institute of Science was launched in that ship from Bombay to Chicago. There, this young monk of just 30 years meets Jamshedji Nasaronji Tata, who is going for business to Canada, who is going for technology to produce some steel in India. These 2 brilliant minds, young man, a monk, and the businessman, they meet together, the best of the East and the West. Jamshedji Nasaronji Tata, the founder of the Tatas, found in Vivekananda's body language, his eyes, his outlook, his smartness, his grace, something very special. Not an ordinary monk eating a banana or wearing a namam. Something is there. And that's how they become friends. And Vivekananda is carrying the heavy burden of his master of the Indians. You read a beautiful paragraph of what this young man is carrying to the West. He's carrying the whole traditions, thousands of years of spirituality. He's carrying music of India. He's carrying the architecture of India. He's carrying his training under his master. But incidentally and accidentally, he finds the Chicago conference postponed to September. And he's there in June end. Shock. A cup of coffee is costing him $5. No clothes, no warmth, no friends, slave country. And he's a brown man, practically. Racism. No friends, no Indian embassy, no NRIs. And somebody in the railway station said, better go to Boston to survive. Where is September? Where is June? You will die here, oh young man, of starvation. Swamiji travels to Boston. And there another Swargadwaram Apavartam, Harvard University professor, realizes this brilliant monk. And he says, you should represent your country in the Parliament of Religions. But they're asking me credentials. I don't have any. I don't have any friends here. What? Asking you credentials? I will give you one, my dear friend. Within 30 minutes, he understood the mind of Swami Vivekananda. And the first time, apart from his guru, Sri Ramakrishna, who put him as one of the world's greatest teachers, the guru proclaiming, he will teach the world. Naren will teach the world. He will go from house to house and blow the conch to awaken the divinity within. Next in the world was Professor John Henry Wright, a professor of philosophy of the Harvard University in Boston, said, and writes in his letter pad, writing to the chairman of the Parliament of Religions, you are asking Vivekananda his credentials? It is like asking the sun its right to shine. Within 30 minutes, an unknown Western person is recognizing the power of Swami Vivekananda. That means they are recognizing the spirituality of India. Then he says, second paragraph, Vivekananda's learning, knowledge is more equivalent than all the professors of America put together. He is the right man to represent his country. Accept him. Signed to Gibbon, the chairman, Cardinal Gibbon. Then Swamiji was accepted. But here I would like to bring this point. Without money, without friends, people do not know the backup, the background. There's a beautiful book called Heroic Struggles of Vivekananda, a small book. Please get a copy of it for yourself. Swamiji comes to Chicago from Boston only to lose the address where he will be accommodated. Again problem? Again challenging circumstances? Like the Indian fashion, he goes to a house for food, begs in the Indian style. What does he get? Insult. Dogs are put behind him. He had to escape. Goes to the second house. They don't know his language. It was a German-occupied colony in Chicago. Servants pushed him out. Second insult. Third house he goes, they don't understand his language. They slam the doors on his face. Third insult. Where does he go? No hotels, no money. He goes back to the railway station in Chicago. Where does he sleep that night? Cold winter Chicago. He sleeps with grass on his body, the hay, grass on the goods carriage, which was lying away from the platform. What will happen 11 September? Nobody knows. Neither he nor even destiny doesn't know. On 9 September, this is the condition. Sleeping in the railway, in the goods carriage. Uncared for, without bath, without coffee, without food, unshaven, tired, exhausted, insulted. He sleeps comfortably, no doubt. Morning, what does he get? Fourth insult. The coolies, the porters come and kick him out. Push him out. We'll hand you over to the police. Oh, Negro. He's not a Negro, but he swallowed the poison for our sake. He's representing Mother India, representing you, representing me, representing our generations. He said, I cannot talk. I can't go back now. I have to swallow the poison. He rushes out of the railway station, Michigan Lake. He washes his face, drinks little water. That is his food for after 3 days. And what does he have? Where does he go? We are speaking in the comfortable AC rooms of AC halls of Marigold or Taj or here or there. But look at what happened. Whom we adore today. His birthday is National Youth Day. People quote him left, right, center. Images everywhere. But on the streets of Chicago. Can you sit one day in the street of Chicago? Donald Trump is ready. (10 September, he is sitting on the streets of Chicago, Michigan Avenue. Again, higher purpose, higher faith, total surrender. He doesn't have any bank balance, no communication, nothing, but he has 3 powers, which all the elders, which all business leaders should think. Apart from your graduation, apart from your knowledge, apart from the training that you got, that you give, Swami Vivekananda, the unknown monk, had 3 powers which could shake the world on 11 September. One was his tremendous Desha Bhakti. Not 1 ounce of minimum negativity about our country. Tremendous Desha Bhakti. My India, my India, my India was his meditation at Kanyakumari before going to America. He had become condensed India. Second, what he had? Tremendous Guru Bhakti. Faith in his master, Sri Ramakrishna, whom he says, just by a glance, my master could produce 1,000 Vivekanandas. And he says, I can forget what all I studied in Calcutta University and sit at the feet of the man who did not cross 2nd standard or 3rd standard. He's a spiritual university. Guru Bhakti and Desha Bhakti. What else was Vivekananda there? Shastra Bhakti. In the scriptures of India. In the philosophy of India, in the sages of India. And these 3, like a triangle, was circled by faith in himself. Atma Vishwas, Atma Shraddha. With that, he is sitting on the streets, gazing the sky. Then, as I said, gates of heaven will open for anybody with a higher push, higher punch. There's a lady opening her windows opposite the street for the warmth sun to enter her room, natural air. She sees him through the window. And this man is as if looking at her house, at her bungalow. Anybody watching your house from other side of the road for half an hour, what will you think? Idedo plan chestunnadu. Natural. Because he's staring at you. He's staring at your home. Naturally, human mind will get a doubt. Either tell your watchman, tell somebody to go and find out who he is, why is he staring at my house. Ani. But as I said, the aura was different. And she sees the man, a 30-year-old young man sitting there, she just boldly crosses across the road by herself. Some magnetic power. You ask the other person, what's your name? Why are you sitting here? Etc., etc. No. Sheer magic, you call it. Boldly, lovingly, fearlessly, Mrs. George W. Hale crosses the street, sitting Vivekananda talking to them. Sir, are you a delegate to the Parliament of Religions? No name. Why is he sitting there? Nothing. Are you a delegate to the Parliament of Religions? Vivekananda, it seemed, jumped like a child because somebody is talking to him like a human being. Yes, mother, I am. Mark the words. Yes, mother, I am. Now, why are you here, gentlemen? Why not in the Parliament building? Then he expresses his difficulty. I lost the address and nobody is able to help me. Come with me. The rest is history. A stranger of strangers, an Indian, a monk, he simply calls him inside. He finishes his bath and has a cup of coffee and toast, and she herself takes him in her horse carriage. 3 roads away to the Parliament of Religions, the Art Institute of Chicago, which is made into a small matchbox today. There he signs the papers, a letter given by Professor Wright as his credentials, and Vivekananda is accepted, a pass is given, a greeting card is given. He signed there, and that is available in the Google net. That night, 10th September, he is sleeping like a child as if he is sleeping in the lap of his mother. All problems solved. He is getting food, he is getting dress, he is getting hospitality, love and affection. 11th September, the rest is history. All sorts of things people quote. I have to laugh at them, that's all. He spoke for this time, that time, all that Google guru which teaches you wrong things. Swamiji just spoke for 3.5 minutes. Only 180 seconds plus. That was the last at 3:30 in the evening. 2 minutes exhausted in Sisters and Brothers of America. They clapped and clapped and clapped, knowing not what struck the core of their heart, their spirit inside, my brother, my sister. Then the news spread all over the world, thanks to British media. Somebody asked him, a telegram was sent by his brother monks. What magic you did there, oh brother? That 5 words, we find 7,000 people applauding you, clapping you, cheering on you, and they rush towards you to what? To just touch your garment? To touch your hand? To give a shake hand? When we were young, we met a very old doctor who came from Boston. And doctor was a homeopathy doctor at that time. He had become 90 plus. He wanted to see India. And when we all assembled in the Ramakrishna Math in Bangalore at that time, he had a gloves on his hand. The right hand was gloved. He waved this and said, do you know what is this? He said, that's your right hand, sir. What am I wearing? A gloves. Protecting yourself from pollution, infection? No. He said, this is not just a hand, a physical hand, a fleshy hand. This is the hand which shook Swami Vivekananda's hand. That was Dr. Brown's remark. It thrills me even now after 45 years. And Dr. Brown said, it's humorous of words, but the fact of the matter is, he said, I did not wash my hand for 7 days because the hand touched God. That was Swamiji. He shook the whole world with his spiritual personality. And cutting the story short, I go back to my opening remarks of an organization where we come from, we represent come. Swamiji found the secret of American success is in Sangha. Collaboration, cooperation, Sangachadvam, Samvadadvam, Samvo, Manamsi Janatam. The Rigveda says, but we became divided. The wrong understanding of Sangha. But Swamiji said they are implementing, they are practicing, they have become one. The United States. And this message of Sangha, of organization, I am taking to India. Humorously told, one old lady, 70-year-old mother-like figure by name Mrs. Bull, Ole Bull, her husband was a violinist in America. Swamiji used to call her Dhira Mata, the heroic mother. He one day came humorously, with enthusiasm, came to home back after lecture in Detroit and said, "Mother, mother." That mother was excited. What is my son doing at 32 years? What does he want? "Today I fell in love." Vivekananda expressed, "I fell in love, mother." Typical American lady that she was. Who is the fortunate girl? Swami? Swamiji laughed loudly and said, "It is not a person, it is not a female, it is your power of organization. I fell in love with. India needs it more than America. I am going to do that." That is where he formed the idea of the Ramakrishna organization in America itself and started writing letters from America to his brother monks. That's how the work started. Work started of rebuilding the nation. Work started of reviving the spirit of India. How the secular